about you, but when I first read that second reading, I immediately thought of the refugee crisis. So just to let you know that our sponsorship team had made the application for an Iraqi family a while back, so the paperwork is processed. We're just in a waiting period now of probably months to maybe a year before they would arrive. But also we're on a waiting list to sponsor a Syrian family. So in 2 weeks from now, 2 Sundays from now, the sponsorship team will be providing you an update, and hopefully we will have more information at that time, and also invite you to help and contribute financially to our sponsorships. In the Gospel, Jesus asks a very serious question. There's a very serious tone in our Gospel today. He says, "But who do you say that I am?" Matthew Kelly calls this the Jesus question. In fact, there's a CD. He gives a whole talk on that. And he says, when God asks a question, we better pay attention. So who do you say that I am? Everyone answers this question by the way they live their lives. You and I answer this question daily by the way we choose to live our life, because the way we live our life is based on our belief in Jesus. The way we live our life is based on what we deeply believe about who Jesus is. So the gospel scene is Jesus walking with his disciples, and I imagine him in a very pensive kind of mood. And the disciples know that he's thinking about something deep, and so they're kind of wondering what's he up to, what's going on in his mind. And then Jesus comes up with this question: who do people say that I am? And they're like, maybe relieved, well, that's easy. They're saying, John the Baptist or Elijah or one of the prophets, right? That's what's going around, so we can answer that question, no problem. But Jesus doesn't bite, right? None of those answers really fit. And so he says, well, who do you say that I am? And just imagine the disciples being a little antsy at that point, knowing, okay, this is a serious question. I don't want to mess this up. And they're probably looking at each other, and then they all look at Peter and go, Peter, you take this one, right? You try to answer this one. This is tough. And Peter, inspired by the Spirit of God, gives a very good answer. Now, nowadays, many religions still believe that Jesus was a prophet, but that's not who Jesus claimed to be. And tragically, most of our secular society reduces Jesus to being nice, right? He was a good teacher, right? He was loving and kind and all that, but in a way that, you can pick and choose what you want. Right? Because if it's God, then you have to listen to every single thing he says. But, we don't take Jesus too seriously, and therefore we can pick and choose his teachings. I want to apply that to our federal election that is coming up. As clergy, we're to remain nonpartisan from the pulpit and all that. But the CCCB, our Catholic Conference of Bishops, has given us some guidelines. There's a little handout. If you didn't get it on the way in, get it on the way out. It's based on the teachings of Jesus, and so these guidelines are to be taken seriously. I'll only comment quickly on the first guideline: respect for life and human dignity from conception till natural death. This has to be the first consideration, because all other rights need to flow from that one. If someone opposes the right to life, then they cannot possibly build a just society. It has to flow from that first one. To quote Pope Francis, This defense of unborn life is closely linked to the defense of each and every other human right. Each and every other human right. It involves the conviction that the human being is always sacred. Once this conviction disappears, so do solid and lasting foundations for the defense of human rights, which would always be subject to the passing whims of the powers that be. Sounds a bit scary, doesn't it? At the whims of the powers that be. My brother-in-law back home is the only one in our family that is kind of involved politically. You know, he actually is one of those who's committed to drops off pamphlets door to door and brings those lawn signs to people and that kind of thing. And he was telling me that he was speaking to a fellow parishioner, and his fellow parishioner was telling him that no, he wasn't voting for the incumbent because, you know, his grandfather had voted for a certain party, his father had voted for a certain party, and so he was going to vote for that party. And I was thinking, wow, how irresponsible, right? And I said, boy, I'm glad none of my parishioners would do that. And my brother-in-law wasn't convinced, hence the guidelines for the election, right? That these guidelines are based on the teachings of Jesus and to be taken seriously. We have a serious duty and obligation. Now back to that Jesus question, but who do you say that I am? Again, this is a very serious question. There is a serious tone. And Jesus gives extraordinary, serious conditions to answer that question, right? These are the conditions. Whoever wants to become my follower, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. We are to lose our life for the sake of Jesus, putting him first. Now, who are the people who do that extremely well? Well, we call those people the saints, right? And who are the people who encounter Jesus most profoundly in this life? That'd be the saints. And so there's a correlation, a direct correlation between denying ourselves, taking up our cross, and encountering Jesus at a profound level. And also vice versa. And so we want to continue our journey of encountering Christ. Now I relate that to our Alpha course coming up in January. Alpha is about inviting people to encounter Jesus for themselves. If you will, Alpha is a 10-week, step-by-step course answering that question, who is Jesus? Who do you say that I am? And Father Dennis has talked about various aspects of Alpha and has talked about how it is successful. But I want to talk about what we're doing this fall, the training for Alpha, because it underlies the success. Because Alpha training is about forming missionary disciples. And so the Alpha training is for everyone. Right? It's for you, each and every parishioner. I hope that you seriously consider coming to the training because it's about becoming and growing in becoming a missionary disciple. Even if you're not going to be here in January for the Alpha, come to the training. Even if you're not interested, come to one session of the training because this is what our main sail this fall. And, you know, if you're thinking of being on the Alpha team in January, of course, you have to come to the training. So Alpha is not about just a group of people coming together and doing various tasks to put on the sessions. Alpha is about a team of missionary disciples offering their time and talent to serve, so as to attract others to come and encounter Jesus more fully for themselves. And so isn't that what we want from the whole parish? We want to become like a team of missionary disciples, inviting and attracting our whole community to come and encounter Jesus for themselves here in this place. I want to try to wrap this up with going back to the sail ship analogy that I've used several times. The sail ship represents the parish, and our sails represent our various ministries. And the image of the sail is that it needs to be up so that it can catch the wind of the Holy Spirit, the breath of life, right? The movement and action of the Holy Spirit that alone can make our ship go forward. Only the Holy Spirit can lead us and bring us forward as a parish. And so our main sail this fall is the Alpha training. So we're hoisting that sail, and again, we want everyone to be part of that. And the direction of the ship is also important, not just moving forward, but we need a direction. We need to know where we're going, right? So we need to be going outward. Pope Francis has called the church to go outward, not to be inward focused. And so we need something to steer us, like a rudder. And so we've developed a strategic direction. And so for the last couple of years, we focused primarily on the general direction of missionary discipleship formation and also strengthening our ministries. So you'll recall last fall we did the Courageous Catholic course. That was 10 weeks. The year before, we really focused our sail on the faith studies, which are ongoing. And this fall, it's this Alpha training leading to Alpha in January. And last June, when we met with our ministries, we focused our direction again. So from the big strategies of missionary discipleship formation and strengthening our ministries, we've come up with thematic goals of welcoming and empowering leadership. So again, a little more focused, but still on that same general direction. And so Alpha works really well, especially this training with those two aspects, our thematic goals of welcoming and empowering leadership. And so it's a good fit for us, and we're excited about the possibilities. And again, Alpha is not so much about putting on a program, but it's about forming, engaging a team of missionary disciples who are helping others to encounter Jesus for themselves, helping others to answer the Jesus question. So the training is for you. It's for everyone in the parish. It's our main sail this fall. It's 6 weeks, so we've shortened it to make it doable for people to attend. It's going to be a little intense, a little condensed, 2 hours per session, and there's going to be homework. In fact, there's pre-training homework. It's the talk by Father Malin. It's a video. It's on our homepage on the website. I encourage you all to check that out and listen to it. I'll give you a good sense of what we're trying to accomplish. And again, even if you're not able to come to the training, watch that video by Father Malin. So after Mass, we encourage you to sign up so we know how many people to prepare for our training. And again, even if you just want to come the first night, check it out, sign up. That would be very helpful. So we want to become missionary disciples who answer the Jesus question for ourselves individually, but also as a parish. We want to become a parish of missionary disciples, right? So that we can, by the way we live our lives, the very way we live our lives, we answer that Jesus question, who do you say that I am?